Hello, beautiful being. We have a couple of astrological transits that have me thinking and reflecting on money and our relationship with money and the fears that we have about money and the money wound, which if you have a money wound is very common. It's very typical. It could be any fear that you have about scarcity or about your access to abundance. And what I love is that when we have these astrological events, it reminds us of the power that we have to cosmically tune in and connect with the divine so that we can remember our abundance, so that we can remember our true wealth. And that there is no scarcity when it comes to divine energy. Abundance flows through us. It's in nature. It's within the planets. It's with Jupiter. It's with Venus. And so we always have access to this. So the astrological transits that I'm currently reflecting on are on June 30th, we have a full moon in Capricorn. Okay, now if you're watching this beyond these dates, don't worry about it because we always have access to these energies. But that's the full moon in Capricorn. Also, the sun will be in Cancer. And I happen to have all of these placements in my chart. I have sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, and also Chiron is currently in Taurus. I have that in my chart as well. So I'm always thinking about these energies. And so now that it's cosmically like here, you know, we're going through this universally, it's like, wow, this is really cool. And it gives me an opportunity to reflect on some of the fears I've had regarding money and how this energy is so healing to me. So with Capricorn, the full moon is inviting us to experience stability and to connect intuitively with our work. Like, what is it that we feel, you know, because the moon is connecting with Capricorn here. What is it that we feel drawn to do here on this earth that supports our stability, that supports our work ethic, that allows us to develop a work ethic, and allowing ourselves to open up to work that is in tune with our nature. With the sun being in Cancer, there's balance being brought to that work ethic that we have, where sun in Cancer is like, okay, you're working. I see you're disciplined. Great. Are you doing okay though? Are you nurtured? Are you balanced in this work energy? Are you working in a way where you're also in tune with your body and taking care of your needs? You know, because Cancer is the nurturer. So I lived out of tune, out of sync with those energies for a long time when I was working outside the home and teaching in the classroom. I was working myself to the bone. I was giving up on opportunities and time that I could spend with my family for the sake of proving myself on my job. As a teacher, my work was never done. There's always something else you can do as a teacher, you know? And I allowed that to drive me where I never felt like I was completely done. And I had trouble setting boundaries. So if there was more that I could do for a student or more that I could do to assist a coworker, I would do it. And it was hard for me at the time to say no. Now, my students benefited from that. My coworkers had an easier time because of that. My administrators praised me. But I wasn't being loyal to myself. I was the one who suffered. And years later, I regretted the time that I didn't spend with my kids, with my family. So there's always a price to pay for overworking. And the question is, why do we overwork ourselves? For me, at the time, I didn't know how to love myself truly. And so I thought I was proving my worth through my work. I thought that if I showed up and was always on time and doing everything the way that I was asked to do it, that I was proving my worth, my value. Because at the time, I didn't realize that my work was a sign of my love for myself and for the universe. It was not a means for me to prove my worth. I didn't need to do that. And I was safe in setting boundaries. I could have set boundaries and protected myself. And even if there had been some pushback, it would have been worth it. There were a lot of times where I didn't use the restroom as a teacher. A lot of teachers know. If you teach in the classroom, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But a lot of times I didn't use the restroom when I needed to. A lot of times I didn't eat lunch. Or if I did, I hurried up and ate it real quickly. It took me years after no longer being a teacher for me to, I had to train myself to sit at a table and eat, enjoying my food. Because for 17 years, I had rushed through lunch. And I was having a conversation with my then doctor, and she said, "Oh, I have so many teacher patients." She said, and a lot of them suffer from bladder issues because they don't use the restroom when they need to, because it's an accountability issue. You have to have coverage in your classroom in order to use the restroom. And a lot of times that's just not available. So a lot of teachers go without basic needs met. And I was rewarded for my hard work. I received awards. I was Mentor of the Year. I always received great feedback on my performance evaluations. But I was suffering. None of that congratulations and accolades, none of it was worth it in the end, because I was not showing myself the love that I deserved. So that's one of the things that can happen on the negative end of the spectrum for Capricorn, because it's like you just work too hard, you know. On the positive end of the spectrum with Capricorn, you do show up for your work, but you're also balanced. And you have the discipline that you need in order to be consistent, but you also care for yourself. And that's one thing that the Sun in Cancer is bringing through with this particular transit of the full moon in Capricorn, where Sun in Cancer is like, yeah, you consistent, but are you also balanced? Are you okay? You got what you need? You know, the mother is coming through, Cancer, and checking in to make sure that you're well taken care of as well. With Chiron and Taurus, that helps us look honestly at any fears about money, fears about not having enough, fears about not being able to access the abundance that you so effortlessly can manifest when you trust that you can and you trust that you will. If there are any fears that you have about not having enough, even though intellectually, logically, you know that you have access to money, but you're still worried about, but what if this happens and what if that happens? And it just prevents you from relaxing and enjoying the abundance that is right in front of you. That can be a money wound. Also, money wounds keep us from enjoying our path to abundance, where it's like, where you're trying to manifest wealth in a scarcity mindset. So you end up making choices that are like selling yourself out, okay? Like putting a desire to achieve wealth before your integrity or before your well-being or your mental health. Making choices that are just either for clout or where you're just working yourself to the bone even. All of these are actions that we sometimes take or choices that we make when we are afraid of not having enough. So what these transits are helping us do and inviting us to do is to really be honest about our relationship with money. To really look at how we think about money, how we feel about money, and how we interact with money. And acknowledging the truth about where we are in our relationship with money that's like half the journey right there. Is being aware. And I feel like the other half is where we say, okay, yeah, I realize that I am sometimes afraid of not having enough. Now, when that fear hits, what am I going to do with that fear? Am I going to allow myself to just ride out with that fear and be like, yeah, the fear is guiding me and I'm not going to change or grow? Or am I going to choose to look that fear in the eye and say, you don't have a hold on me. I know that I am abundant. I know what I have access to. I know who I am. And I know that I don't have to work myself to the bone. I know that I have enough and I am enough. And I manifest every single thing that I need. And I'm okay. Making those choices, choosing to change our thoughts, to change our patterns, to change how we interact with money is what creates a change. It's what creates a difference. And doing it over and over and over again is what makes a true change. So whether you're watching this at the time when we have these transits or well beyond, okay, this energy is always available to us. It just came to my mind because we're actually experiencing these astrological transits. So it was so cool because I was like, I feel this all my life. So let me go ahead and make a video about my experiences with these energies and how I allow it to work for me. And so I hope that you'll, if you experience these fears or any of this energy, that you will also open up to this true flow of abundance that you always have access to, beautiful being, and that it'll help you in some way. I love you, and I wish you peace, I wish you joy, and so many blessings. Take care.